Good evening. And at the outset, I would like to express my gratitude um, to be allowed to share my views on vegetarianism. I'm especially happy to be speaking to all of you, the respected and the feared audience, the media and journalists. Thank you for coming. If slaughterhouses had glass walls, we would have only one view on vegetarianism. Let's speak about the facts. There are 2 billion animals which are killed every week, and that 10,000 species are wiped out each year, and due to action of only one species. If any other organism did this atrocity, the biologists will call that species as virus. And we know what a virus is doing right now. So there are health, there are environmental, and there are ethical issues about vegetarianism which I'd like to share. And with the constraints of time, I'll try and keep them very brief. So, being a doctor, I can relate well to the health aspects of this situation. One can lead a healthy, very healthy life by being a vegetarian, and eating meat is bad, full stop. There was a very large study coming out of Harvard Medical School where they followed 100,000 people for 20 years. And they found that even eating a small portion of red meat increases your chances of dying through bowel cancer, through heart disease, and there was a higher incidence of diabetes. Now, when you use the food to feed grains and soybeans to animals for the farming, for the animal farming to be used in slaughterhouses, you can retrieve, if you save that, you can save 1/3 to 1/10 of this value to us, and this can be fed to humans, and that can be saved. So there is a huge amount of saving which one can do if they are not doing animal farming. Now, Barbara Tufnell defined folly. She's a great historian. She defined folly as acting against our best interest. And what's our folly? We have seen all these zoonotic diseases, and COVID right now is going on. SARS, mad cow disease, avian flu. They threaten to wipe the world. And 70% in the West are overweight or obese. The rate of heart attack is increased by 50% in meat eaters. And meat industry, unfortunately, is being used to subsidize all the government income and solve their problems. Just don't eat animals. Einstein, who was a strict vegetarian, he said we can't solve the problems by using the same kind of logic or thinking which created them in the first place. So we have to have a paradigm shift of our thinking. It takes 50,000 liters of water to produce 1 kilogram of beef, and it takes 1,000 glasses of water to produce 1 glass of milk. Choice is yours. 1 billion people today are hungry, and 20 million people will die in 1 year because of malnutrition. Reducing our meat consumption just by 10% will feed 100 million people. Every morsel of meat we are eating is like a slap on the tearful face of that hungry child who is going to die by the end of the year. The earth will produce food for everyone's need, but it will never produce enough for everyone's greed. If everyone was to have a Western diet, we will need 2 planet Earths to feed us, and we only have one, and that too is suffering. So we need to sit up and take notice of that. There are huge environmental losses in this meat industry and meat farming and animal farming, as opposed to so many benefits for being a vegetarian. The pollution produced by methane alone by animal production is a major factor in climate change, and so on and so forth. There's a huge amount of environmental issue. It's a crime of unimaginable proportion. World is crying out for leadership and truths. We're just talking about the truths, and you are the leaders of the world who will then bring this to the world. I know it takes courage to stand up and speak, but it takes more courage to sit there and listen and act on it. Screams in a slaughterhouse are non-different than when we scream in pain. So whether it's suffering by a dog, a pig, a cow, or a sheep, or humans, suffering is suffering. It's quite interesting that there's such a paradox of expression, and there's a contradiction. We talk about human relationship with animals, we talk about animal rights. There's so much love and appreciation for animals, but so much cruelty happening to the same species in an industrial scale, not a small scale. $50 billion are spent every year in the US on pets, and there are 80 million wildlife walkers. So where is all that love? Where does it go when we talk about meat eating? And it's just a non-stop thing. George Bush was wrong when he says the axis of evil runs through Iran and Iraq. No, it doesn't run through Iran and Iraq. It runs through our dining tables. And the weapons of mass destruction are not the weapons used in the war. They are knives and forks. Just imagine the life without this animal slaughter and animal killing. The farmers will be very happy. They'll be producing more. They'll flourish. The governments will be flourishing, and the hospital waiting list will go down because there'll be no diseases. We'll be so healthy that we'll have to shoot people to start a cemetery. The peace map will be drawn on our menu, on our dining table, not by the government officials. Peace is not just the absence of war. It is actually presence of justice. Animals are not just any other species. They are actually nations. So, friends, let's make history that the leaders, and that's what the leaders do. Now, our animal cousins have survived millions of years. They have earned the right to share this planet Earth with peace, but they have had long enough. They've been waiting long enough. Now, if you don't do it, then who will do it? And if you don't do it now, then when will you do it? I'm sure the Messiah who's going to change is probably in this room or just outside this room. So let's just all do this together. And of course, coming from a tradition of Vedic culture, we know that every living being has a soul and is accompanied by and that soul is actually a part and parcel of the Supreme. And Supreme's expansion is accompanied the soul, which is called super soul, and it houses in a body which is responsible for the soul to manifest actions. What right do we have to kill another soul's body? So let's just stand up, take a notice of all these facts. Let's be vegetarian. Let's get the meat off our menu, and let's all be happy. Thank you very much. Thank you. How much time?